Berryhill, Blakesley, Calderon, Canella, Corbett, Correa, De Leon, DeSaulnier, Dutton, Emerson, Evans, Fuller, Gaines, Hancock, Harmon, Hernandez, Huff, Kehoe, LaMalfa, Leno, Ted Lieu, Carol Lieu, Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Rubio, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Vargas, Walters, Volk, Wright, Weiland, Yee.
The absence of a quorum having been duly noted, the Sergeant-at-Arms will lock the doors and call the absent members. Call the absent members, please. Members, a quorum is present. Would the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery please rise? We will be led in prayer this morning by our chaplain, Rabbi Mona Alfi. After which, please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Senator Sharon Runner. Rabbi?
Good morning. Catherine Logan gave this advice for those who desire success in life and in work. She said to have faith where you cannot see, to be willing to work on into the dark, to be conscious of the fact that as long as you strive for the best, there are better things on the way. This in itself is success. O gracious and merciful God, may it be your will that we always have faith in the goodness of our work that fills our days and nights. May we continue to strive to achieve our highest ideals, and may we never lose faith in our ability to make our dreams of a better tomorrow into a reality. May this be God's will. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good day.
Members, under privileges of the floor, messages from the governor will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Under motions, resolutions, members, do we have items under motions and resolutions? If not, that takes us to introduction and first reading of bills, which will be deemed read. Members, that takes us to the consideration of the daily file. Under second reading file, Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 644 and Senate Resolution 14 with amendments.
Deemed read. Thank you. Governor's appointments. Senator Steinberg, would you like to take up governor's appointments at this time? Senator Steinberg at Senator Steinberg's desk.
Thank you for allowing me to use my desk. Appreciate it. File item 3, Diana Dooley as the Secretary of the Health and Human Services Agency. Mr. President and members, Ms. Dooley was heard in the Rules Committee on the 2nd of March and approved on a 5-0 vote. She has an impressive list of credentials. There was a wide array of support She also showed herself during the confirmation hearing to be adept at all of the subject matter within her agency. I think everyone agrees she will be a great secretary. She comes from the California Children's Hospital Association, and we urge unanimously an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Calderon. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Lamalfa. Aye. Leno. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Carol Lieu, aye.
Call the absent members. One moment, please, members. Call the absent members, Mr. Secretary.
Blakesley. Calderon. Corbett. Correa. Hancock. Leno, aye. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. Pavley. Wright.
Ayes 31, noes 0. The appointment is approved. Senator Steinberg, do you have other items?
Yes, thank you. Item 4, this is the confirmation of Marty Morgenstern as the Secretary of the Labor and Workforce Development Agency. Again, Mr. Morgenstern, approved on a 5-0 vote, has a long history of public service, has been on both the management and the labor side throughout his career. Urge again a unanimous vote.
Members, is there any objection to substituting the previous unanimous roll call? Ayes 31, noes 0. The appointment is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 5, which is Andrew Green as a member of the California Arts Council. Again, approved by the Rules Committee on a 5-0 vote. There was no opposition. We urge an aye vote.
Is there any debate or discussion? If not, is there any objection to substituting the previous unanimous roll call? We are now at 32 with Senator Pavley. Without objection, ayes 32, noes 0. The appointment is approved. Senator Steinberg.
Who's that? 7? I don't have it. Well, I'm going to wait. Item 6, this is Terry Lenahan as a member of the California Arts Council. This was approved by the Rules Committee, this time on a 3-2 vote, so we'd ask for a roll call vote on this. Thank you. Urge an aye vote.
Is there debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Calderon. Aye. Canella. No. Corbett. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. No. Evans. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. Lamalfa. No. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian?
Members, if we could have your attention, please. It's difficult for the Secretary to hear the roll call. Smidian, aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Aye. Strickland? No. Vargas? Aye. Walters? No. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye.
Anderson, I do not.
Anderson? Aye to no. Berryhill? Aye to no. Dutton? Dutton, no.
Call the absent members.
Negrete McLeod, aye. Blakesley? Corbett? Correa? Hancock? Wright?
Ayes 21, noes 14. The appointment is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's it for appointments, but without objection, I have a letter that I'd like to substitute a corrected version for the one presented last Monday on the issue of realignment that I submitted to the Journal. It has been cleared by both sides. I'd ask that it be submitted to the Journal.
We have a letter to the Journal from Senator Steinberg, cleared by both sides without objection. Senator Padilla, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Request to take up item 37, AB 36.
Under Assembly third reading, members, we will go to Assembly third reading. File item 37. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 36 by Assemblymember Perea, an act relating to taxation to take effect immediately. Tax levy.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, as you all recall, last March, Congress and the President passed and enacted health care reform at the national level. And while the bill was very substantive and comprehensive, there's an element of the national health care reform that most people can agree on. And it was the extension of health care benefits to young adults up to the age of 26. And in that same action, while Congress mandated the coverage of young adults to the age of 26, they also acted to ensure that it did not become a taxable benefit for federal tax purposes. Last year, this legislature passed SB 1088, which required coverage of that same young adult population through the end of the calendar year upon which that individual reached the age of 26. But California failed to address the taxation issue. So as law currently stands, that tax benefit for young adults is considered taxable income for their parent. And it's created a big problem, not just for individuals trying to calculate and determine what that tax burden is going to be and how to pay it, but also for employers who are struggling to find a way to calculate what the value of that coverage is. So this bill addresses that problem by granting that same exemption conforming with federal law for this additional coverage, and it relieves employers from having to do that paperwork, make those calculations, and it certainly relieves individuals of that burden. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Strickland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I think that this bill is supportable, and I commend the author for bringing this forward. But one thing I do believe is the very fact of the matter is tax conformity is very important when we talk about health care, and it's almost hypocritical for the majority to do this and not look at what's happened in terms of medical savings, health savings accounts, because the Republicans on our side have tried to do tax conformity with federal law when it comes to health savings accounts, and we've introduced 21 different measures to do so and hasn't really got through the legislature. So I urge the support on this measure, but those of you that are going to vote for this measure should look at the 21 other bills that we've tried to do in terms of conformity on health savings accounts.
Debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Padilla, you may close.
Ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. I, Berryhill. I, Blakesley. I, Calderon. Canella. I, Corbett. Correa. De Leon. I, DeSaulnier. I, Dutton. I, Emerson. I, Evans. I, Fuller. I, Gaines. I, Hancock. I, Harmon. I, Hernandez. I, Huff. Kehoe. I, LaMalfa. I, Leno. I, Ted Lieu. I, Carol Lieu. I, Lowenthal. I, Negrete McLeod. I, Padilla. I, Pavley. I, Price. I, Rubio. I, Runner. Smidian. I, Steinberg. I, Strickland. I, Vargas. I, Walters. Wolk. I, Wright. I, Wyland. I, Yee. Yee, I. Huff, I.
Call the absent members.
Calderon. Corbett. Correa. Runner. Walters.
Ayes 35, noes 0. The bill is passed. Members, we're going to return now to unfinished business, and we will begin with file item 8. File item 8, Secretary, please read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 8 by Senator Yee relative to Sunshine Week.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. SCR 8 designates last week, March 13th through the 19th, as Sunshine Week. This resolution hopefully will heighten awareness of the need for greater government transparency, pass both houses unanimously. The Assembly amendments simply added co-authors, and with that, urge an aye vote on the concurrence.
Debate or discussion? Senator LaMalfa.
Question of the author.
Senator Yee, you're prepared to take a question, sir?
Oh, absolutely. From
Senator LaMalfa, please proceed.
Senator LaMalfa.
Senator Yee, could we move to make this sunshine next 2 months, because I got rice to plant?
I just want to let you know that I think that it is the rice farmers, I think it's the citrus farmers that have made Chinese New Year celebrated over 4 months. And we will continue to celebrate that for you, okay? But sunshine, let's leave it at that particular
Be about
month.
the right length of time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Urge aye vote.
Thank you. Is there additional debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Yee, you may close.
Just urge and aye vote on the concurrence, and thank you very much, Senator LaMalfa, for that reminder, okay?
Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. I, Anderson. I, Berryhill. I, Blakesley. I, Calderon. Canella. I, Corbett. Correa. De Leon. I, DeSaulnier. I, Dutton. I, Emerson. I, Evans. I, Fuller. I, Gaines. I, Hancock. I, Harmon. I, Hernandez. I, Huff. I, Kehoe. I, LaMalfa. I, Leno. I, Ted Lieu. I, Carol Lieu. I, Lowenthal. I, Negrete McLeod. I, Padilla. I, Pavley. I, Price. I, Rubio. I, Runner. I, Smidian. I, Steinberg. I, Strickland. I, Vargas. I, Walters. I, Wolk. I, Wright. I, Wyland. I, Yee. Yee, I.
Call the absent members.
Calderon. Corbett. Correa.
Ayes 37, noes 0. The amendments are concurred in. Members, that takes us to Senate third reading. These are file items 9 through 14. Do we have anyone who would like to present on file items 9 through 14? Senator Yee, on which item, sir?
Item 36.
Senator Yee, as you may know from your years of experience, item 36 is not part of items 9 through 14, but we will come back to you, sir, on those other items. Thank you.
Trying to get whatever I can.
That takes us, members, to Assembly third reading, items 36 and 37. Senator Yee, for what purpose do you rise?
There you go, my 36.
File item 36. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 50 by Assembly Member Hill, an act relating to taxation to take effect immediately, tax levy.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm sure you were a tough teacher, but I'm trying to keep up. This bill, AB 50, is an equity issue. As a result of the gas explosion in San Bruno that killed 8 of my constituents on September 9th, many individuals are still trying to...
Senator Yee, one moment, please. Members, please give your attention to Senator Yee on this item.
Many individuals are still trying to recover from that horrible disaster. And part of trying to recover has been that a number of entities like PG&E, like the Red Cross and the city of San Bruno have been making relief payments to victims of this particular tragedies. The payments vary from a few $1,000s to $50,000, but as a result of these donations, it has inflated the personal income tax bills of some of these victims of the tragedy. So what this bill will do is to basically then exempt any of these increased taxes on the victims of this horrible disaster. With that, this bill has received unanimous bipartisan support in both houses. With that, urge an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Correa. De Leon. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Calderon. Corbett. Correa. De Leon. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Mr. President.
Ayes 37, noes 0. The bill is passed. Senator Yee, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Immediate transmittal, please.
Without objection, immediate transmittal is ordered. Members, we are still under Assembly third reading. Do we have members who would like to take other items up under Assembly third reading? Senator Wolk, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
To take up item 40, I believe is the number.
File item 40. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 28 by Assemblymember Chesbro relative to Earth Hour.
On behalf of Assemblymember Chesbro, I'd like to ask the body to declare the hours of 8:30 to 9:30 on March 26th as Earth Hour. It encourages all city, county, and state employee and businesses to turn off non-essential lights in government buildings, schools, landmarks, and other buildings for that hour to highlight the need to conserve energy and raise awareness about the need to conserve resources. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist? Aye. Anderson? No. Berryhill? Blakesley? Aye. Calderon? Canella? Corbett? Correa? De Leon? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Dutton? Emerson? Evans? Aye. Fuller? Gaines? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hernandez? Aye. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Lamalfa? No. Leno? Aye. Ted Lieu? Aye. Carol Lieu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Rubio? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Vargas? Aye. Walters? No. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President. Gaines? No.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill? Called. Berryhill, no. Calderon? Canella? Corbett? Correa? Dutton? Emerson? Dutton, no. Fuller? Harmon? Huff? Runner? Strickland? Wyland?
Ayes 23, noes 6. The resolution is adopted. Members, do we have any other items under Assembly third reading? If not, Senator Padilla, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Two items. First, for item 37, which was previously approved, request immediate transmittal.
Without objection, so ordered. Members, before we return to the consent calendar, why don't we go to motions and resolutions? Senator Padilla, I believe you are up on motions and resolutions as well, sir?
Yes, Mr. President. Request that the Senate adjourn today in memory of Secretary Warren Christopher, who passed away last Friday after a battle with bladder and kidney cancer. He needs no introduction. Everybody here knows, and I believe everybody here respects and admires Secretary Warren Christopher. But his life is certainly intertwined with California, and I believe is worthy of this Senate's recognition. Warren Christopher, as we all know, had a life of service, accomplishment, and of providing counsel that spanned multiple United States presidents, California governors, and numerous Los Angeles city leaders.
Senator Padilla, one moment, please. Members, if we could ask that you give Senator Padilla your attention for his adjourn in memoriam and to recognize not only the passing of Secretary Christopher, but his decades of service.
Thank you, Mr. President. Warren Christopher was born in North Dakota in 1925, but his family moved when he was still young to Los Angeles, where he attended and graduated from Hollywood High School. He graduated magna cum laude from the University of Southern California before serving in the Navy, including active duty in the Pacific Theater in 1945. He went out to attend Stanford Law School, where he was president of the Law Review. Presidential historian Michael Beschloss described Warren Christopher as, quote, the kind of public servant the founders imagined, a man of principle, integrity, modesty, loyalty, and public spirit. Some of Secretary Christopher's most notable accomplishments include having headed the law firm of O'Melveny & Myers, the oldest law firm in Los Angeles. He was a U.S. Deputy Attorney General under President Johnson. He was a U.S. Deputy Secretary of State under President Carter, where he secured the ratification of the Panama Canal and the release of the 52 hostages held in Tehran. He served as United States Secretary of State under President Clinton, where he was credited with brokering the Dayton Agreement, which brought an end to the conflict in Bosnia. For California governors, he served as vice chairman of Governor Edmund Brown's commission to investigate the cause of the Watts riots, a precursor to his service in 1991 as chairman of what became known as the Christopher Commission, as the city of Los Angeles sought to investigate the brutality and racism that led to the beating of Rodney King and the subsequent riots in Los Angeles. Through his life of public service, he clearly made a mark on Los Angeles, California, and the world. He is survived by his wife, Marie, his children, Lynn, Scott, Thomas, and Kristen, and 5 grandchildren. And as I'm sure a couple of us here today and our colleagues at various levels of government can say, I had the wonderful honor and privilege of getting to know Warren Christopher. When I served on the Los Angeles City Council, and especially as president of the Los Angeles City Council, he's one of the handful of people in Los Angeles you needed to call. Not because he needed you to call, but because you knew that you needed to pick his brain, seek his counsel, seek his advice. And if it's a couple things I can share with you from those interactions, it was always the immediate sense of respect, the immediate sense of integrity and class that just oozed through his being. And you can talk about the Dodgers. He was a big fan. You can talk about conflicts around the world. You can talk about the pressing issues of Los Angeles. And he would always put it in both a historical and political context as well as a human context. And for his counsel and assistance to me, I will always be grateful. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Padilla. Please convey the sympathy of the Senate to friends and family, as well as our appreciation for those decades of service. Senator De Leon, do you wish to add any comments on this adjourn in memoriam?
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to join my esteemed colleague, Senator Alex Padilla, on this adjourn in memoriam with regards to Warren Christopher. Warren Christopher, being from Los Angeles, attended Hollywood High School, and that was in my former assembly district and Mr. Curran Price's current Senate district. So a couple highlights. One thing about Warren Christopher, when he was at Stanford University, specifically Stanford Law School, he was the very first Stanford law student in the history of the law school to actually clerk for a U.S. Supreme Court justice. So that was a mighty accomplishment back then, being the first ever law student at Stanford Law School to be the first clerk at the U.S. Supreme Court. And I think Mr. Padilla highlighted and underscored a couple of the accomplishments. Obviously, the Oslo Accords dealing with the Israelis and the Palestinians, as well as the Dayton Accord dealing with the Balkan conflict. But he will be sorely missed in the city of Los Angeles because his footprint was not just globally, but just as importantly, his footprint was very large in the city of Los Angeles, given the travesties and injustices of the old Los Angeles Police Department and what he did within his power to bring about transparency, sunshine, and a more just police department in the city of Los Angeles. So I want to join my colleague, Mr. Alex Padilla, also too, in adjourning in the memory of a very great Angelino and a great American, Mr. Warren Christopher. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator De Leon. Senator Ahlquist, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Motion to adjourn in memory, Mr. President.
Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. It is with a heavy heart that I rise to adjourn in memory of Father John Asimakopoulos, the beloved priest, head priest of St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church in San Jose, my church, and he was my priest. Father John passed away exactly a week ago at the age of 79 after a brief illness. He had been a priest for 5 decades, receiving his degree in theology from the University of Athens. He was ordained in 1957, moved to California in 1964, and served for 24 years at St. Nicholas Church. He especially loved teaching, earning his credentials in primary and secondary education while serving at a church in Modesto. Throughout his more than 50 years of service, Father John gave pastoral care and spiritual guidance to thousands of parishioners, always seeking to bring them closer to God. He was passionate in striving for what he believed, extremely passionate, so much so that he would say to someone that he was just meeting, "I'm really not as bad as rumors would suggest." And he was all of about 5'2" and verbally could look you in the eye if you were 6'5" and explain why you needed to be doing things a different way. Father John is survived by his presbytera Maria of 54 years. And as you may know, in the Greek Orthodox Church, priests can marry if they marry before they are ordained. And so he had 2 sons, one of whom preceded him in death, and his other son was George, and his daughters Antonia and Stephanie. I ask that we adjourn in memory of Father John, and that his memory may be eternal.
Thank you, Senator Ahlquist, and please do convey the sympathies of the Senate to both friends and family. Senator Gaines, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Permission to adjourn in memory, Mr. President.
Please proceed, Senator.
I rise today to adjourn in memory of Katie Jackson Morrison and her 2 children, Wyatt and Hannah. Katie at age 37 and Wyatt and Hannah, ages 6 and 5, were killed in a tragic plane crash on Sunday, March 20th. Katie was a resident of Truckee who shared a passion for community service and aviation with her husband, Jim. Katie served on the Truckee Tahoe Airport Community Advisory Team, was president of the Lake Tahoe chapter of the 99s, Organization of Women Pilots, and was elected this past November to the Board of Trustees of the Truckee Tahoe Airport District. She was committed to maintaining both the excellence of the airport and the pristine environment of the mountains and the lakes around Truckee, an outdoor community she called a jewel. Katie's leadership, vision, and service will be missed by all who knew her. My thoughts and prayers are with her husband, Jim, and family. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, and please convey the sympathies of the Senate to friends and family. Senator Lowenthal, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Motion to adjourn in the memory.
Please proceed.
With great sadness, I make a motion to adjourn in the memory of 5 individuals. I'll talk a little bit about one of them in particular. This is for Kenneth Cruz, Bruce Kroll, Jeff Berger, Tom Dean, and Mark Bixby. These were the 5 individuals that died in the crash at the Long Beach Airport about 1 week ago on March 16th. Tom Dean and Jeff Berger, these were all men in their 40s. The vitality of our community. For example, Tom Dean and Jeff Berger were partners in a real estate development in Long Beach, and they had just done a land swap of 37 acres of parkland to the city in exchange. It was for wetlands restoration in exchange for some other city property. So everybody in Long Beach knew them. But it's really Mark Bixby that I want to talk to you about. The Bixby name in Southern California is synonymous with Southern California in our part of the state. The Bixby land ranch, the family was there long before there was a Long Beach. All of Long Beach, Lakewood, all the way out to Cerritos was all part of the Bixby family land grant in the 1860s, 1870s. Mark is that last generation's last male part of the family. He has aunts and other, who are the women. Mark was 44. It was like this community lost its heart and soul. He was the president of the Rotary Club. He was the champion for environmental efforts in the city. He was the champion for the bicycle. I met with Mark just 2 weeks ago, or maybe a little longer, a few weeks ago, to talk about making sure that there'd be a bike path on the new Gerald Desmond Bridge. He fought for environmental protection in Surfrider Foundation. He and his wife I knew them also because his wife was Teresa was the co-founder of Children Today, which was the child development centers, which was connected to all of our multi-service centers for homeless children to provide early educational experience and link them to the schools and provide social services for kids who are, now from less than 6 months of age, who are out on the streets to 5 years of age. This family was the heart and soul of this community. And so we felt it was not just a loss, it was like the heart was ripped out and everybody is in mourning. I went to a service, just a people gathering, and there must have been 500 to 1,000 people on the beach this past Friday, just gathering, just to be silent, just friends and family. My son was the president of the board of Children Today and worked with the family, because so everybody knew everybody. It's just extremely, extremely sad. Thank you.
Senator Lowenthal, thank you. Please convey the sympathies of the Senate to friends and family. And Senator Lowenthal, if we could ask you to bring the names to the desk to be sure that the deceased are properly memorialized. Members, do we have any other items under motions and resolutions? If not, we will return to the consent calendar items, members. Consent calendar. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 191, Senate Bill 192, and Senate Bill 193.
Members, we are on consent. Mr. Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Calderon. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Tedlew. Aye. Carolou. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Call the absent members.
Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Corbett. Correa. Steinberg. Strickland. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland.
Ayes 36, noes 0. The consent calendar is passed. Senator Steinberg, if there is no other business, I believe the desk is clear. Senator Steinberg. The desk is clear, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will have the briefest of Democratic caucuses immediately after session. A session tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and of course we'll remain on the call of the pro tem throughout today, tomorrow, and obviously over the weekend as we hopefully move towards some positive resolutions. Democratic Caucus, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg. Members, Democratic Caucus in the Maddie Lounge. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene tomorrow, Friday, at 9 a.m., and we will remain on call Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We are in recess.